Hello, welcome. I am moving to Chapter 3 from Bickie's Thunder Egg by Bert Rhoads. Chapter 3 is titled Uncle Dirk's Secret. And it reads, when John came home from Marshalltown next afternoon, Bickie could see before his big brother got down from the wagon that he was unhappy and worried about something. The two younger boys ran over to open the gate and then clambered up into the back of the wagon to ride the short distance into the farmyard. They didn't shout to John that he must whitewash their stone at once. There was something on John's face that held them off. They followed him into the house. What is it, son? Mother asked John when she looked up from the wash tub she was rubbing clothes. Couldn't you get it fixed? Oh, I got it fixed all right, John said to her. I met Hank Collins in town. Bickie saw a shadow brush over Mother's face. What did he say? John, tell me. He says he will foreclose the 1st of January if we can't raise the $300. John's voice hung like a cloud in the big room. Bickie looked at the open window. A cold draft must be coming through it. He felt suddenly chilly. Mother's face lost some of its usual rosy color for a minute, and then a red flushed back into her cheeks. John, she laid her hand, wet and wrinkled from washing, on John's shoulder. Even Hank Collins must have a heart. He wouldn't turn a widow woman and these little children out in January. Not in January. I will go talk to him. You will not worry. She had John sit down and rest while she fixed him great slabs of frying cornmeal mush. Hey, Bick, Tom, I forgot. Run and look under the wagon seat. There's a pail of jelly. The boys rushed out the door and came back a minute, lugging the heavy wooden pail of jelly between them. John opened it and spread the lovely yellow jelly thick on his fried mash. Would you boys like some too? Mother asked Bickie and Tommy. Oh, would they? The sight of delicious jelly melting on the slabs of mush on John's plate was too much for them. They coughed and choked out in the answer that they would very much like some indeed. While Mother was singing at the wash tub and the house cooling in the summer evening with John home again and the jelly, the world seemed good again. And Bickie, seeing that John was full and in a better mood, stood by his chair. We want you to whitewash a stone for us, he said. Mother said that we can use it to hold the bedroom door open. We want it to whitewash like Red Hog Smith's stone. Where's this stone? John pushed back his chair and looked at Mother. We'll go and bring it in. Bickie and Tommy hurried into the room and brought out the egg-shaped stone. So this is what you want whitewashed. John looked at the stove. I've never seen a stone like that before. Where did you find it? Oh, we dug it out of the ground, Tommy spoke up. It's been there ever since the flood. Maybe it washed over here from China or the North Pole. How do we know? John laughed. Get some corn husks and lay them here by the stove, he directed them. We don't want whitewash dripping on Mom's clean floor. That night, the two smaller boys were in bed. Mother and John sat in the kitchen and talked a very long time. The doors opened between the lean-to bedroom and the kitchen, and Bickie could hear part of what they said. He knew they were trying to figure out some way to get the money for Hank Collins. He also knew that when Father died last year, Mother had borrowed $500 from Hank Collins. He knew, although they had given Hank all the corn money last fall, and some from the hogs and the calves they sold, there was still $300 owing. The time to pay it was nearly here, and Bickie knew there was no money for the payment. There would not be any until the corn had husked, and that might not be enough. If only Dirk were here, Bickie heard Mother say. Bickie could faintly remember Mom's only brother, Uncle Dirk. He was the one who built the little farm a mile east of State Center, Iowa. He built the house, too. Uncle Dirk never married, and he lived with them, excepting for the years that he was prospecting for gold in California. Uncle Dirk was a jolly fellow. He had black hair like Mother and red cheeks like hers. He always was making jokes and playing with the babies, for Bickie and Tommy were scarcely more than that when he went away. Father Uncle Dirk went off to war with the Union soldiers, and Uncle Dirk never came back. He died before Vicksburg. He had heard both Father and Mother say it many times. Before Vicksburg. It was hard to believe that Uncle Dirk would never come back. With Father it was different. He had come home sick and wounded from his service with the Union Army, and he never got well. The boys saw him grow pale and weak, and finally last year he died. It was easy to believe Father wouldn't come back. And then Bickie brought his wandering thoughts back. He sat up in bed and disturbed Tommy, who was already asleep. He heard Mother say something he wanted to hear. He listened with his ears. He listened with his mouth. He listened with his heart. They were talking about Uncle Dirk. The last thing he said to me was, "Frida, there's enough money in this house to take care of you until we come back." Then he winked at me and pointed down at the floor. You know how Dirk was. He loved mysteries and jokes. Do you know what do you think he meant? John asked. I think he meant there was some money hidden in the house somewhere. We always thought he'd brought home more than he let on from his mining in California, she sighed. Well, the house burnt down. Now, I suppose that he put it in the floor somewhere. It would be just like him. No use of thinking about it anymore. Funny he wouldn't have said anything to Father about it. John's voice came clear to Bickle's ear. Well, they were separated almost immediately after they joined the army, and they never saw each other again. Mother sighed again. Did you ever look for whatever he had hidden? Bickley could hear the eagerness in John's question. Well, when your father was sick, I looked 100 times, I'm sure. I went over the floor, board by board, but none of them looked like they had ever been disturbed. I looked on the walls and in the cellar. I looked everywhere. Mother's voice dropped, so he could scarcely hear. That was when I went to Hank Collins. Bickley lay down on his pillow again. The voices in the kitchen were quiet now. Mom and John's shadow showed for an instant in the open doorway, and then Bickley heard him getting ready for bed in the dark. Again, a memory of the burning house rushed to Bickley's mind. Again, he saw the flames bursting from the windows and heard Red Hog Smith's huge voice booming on the crackle of the fire. He shuddered despite himself. It all came back so real and so frightening. Yes, whatever Uncle Dirk might have hidden in the house must have been burnt. He tried to forget the house and the war and all the ugly worries about Hank Collins and the mortgage. He tried to forget how Mother's face looked when she talked to John this afternoon. He tried to think about what he could do to earn money. $300 was a lot to earn before January. And it was a week later that John mentioned the matter again. I think I'll go into Marshalltown and get work on the railroad. In 5 months, I should earn something. You could never earn enough, Mother said to him. We'll have to depend mostly on the corn. If it gets 60 bushel to an acre, we should have $100 from that. Corn may not bring in 10 cents a bushel this fall. John sat at the kitchen table whittling on the leg of the small bedroom stand he was making for Mother. I should be able to get food for the children with the washing and nursing. Mother was ironing shirts on the wooden boards beside the tables where the lamp stood. Perhaps we could borrow money from somewhere else. No, Mother, John's voice sounded determined. We will not borrow any more money. We will sell the farm if we have to. In the meantime, we'll gather every cent that we can to apply down to the payment. Perhaps Hanks will be satisfied if we pay most of it. At least he is given until New Year's, 5 months. But, John, no one's buying farms now. This is the worst time of year to sell land. I know. John laid down his work on the table. We must trust in God. I won't put it off another day, Mother declared. I will go see Hank Collins tomorrow. The next day, Mother put on her best black dress. She kissed both the little boys goodbye and told them to play nicely until she would come back. They watched her walk down the road. They knew she went to see Hank Collins. The whitewashed stone stood now, holding open the door to the boys' bedroom. It looked very nice sitting there, and exactly like a huge white egg. The lads looked at it, and Bickley brought a pencil and wrote E-G-G on it in big letters. Let's go and dig up some more treasure, Tommy suggested. Bickley hesitated. He had a deep uneasiness inside of him. He knew Mother was gone to sing Hank Collins about the $300. He could see Hank with his blue eyes looking like hard marbles. While the boys played at school, he could see Hank's ugly, sucking mouth and his hands. Hank's hands always looked like they were twisting something. Bickley could see Mother in her black dress and her rosy cheeks and thick curly hair and that little smile on her face. He cringed inside. If Hank talked mean to Mother, a rush of anger rushed over him. He shook Tawny's hand off his sleeve. Let's go down the road to meet Mother, he said. I think she will be coming back pretty soon. When we get to the rise by the fence corner, we can almost see the way to Hank's place. The boys started off, running until they came to the spot of higher ground where the level countryside spread out below them like a flat table. They waited a long time. And then they saw Mother. She was walking slowly, looking down at the yellowing grass on the roadside. Now she must be hearing their voices. When they got nearer to see her face, Bickley thought there was a tear running down her cheek, but he couldn't be for sure, for her voice was merry. She opened her arms to grab them as they came pelting towards her on the dusty road. Her voice sounded cheerful. When we get home, you boys must go and gather the eggs right away. I'm going to make a cake for supper. Bickley's mind was relieved. A cloud of trouble that had been oppressing him ever since he overheard the conversation about Uncle Dirk disappeared. He and Tommy ran skipping gaily along beside his mother until they came to the small granary house. Mother never mentioned anything about her talk to Hank. The days went by, the weather got cooler, autumn came. John worked most of the time in Marshalltown at $10 a month. He would have to come home soon and husk the corn. Twice Bickley had seen Hank Collins walking along the north fence of the cornfield. Once he saw him climb the fence and go into the corn. He stopped up the ear and husked it. Then he put it in his pocket. Bickley didn't tell his mother, but his anger grew. That's the end of chapter 3. Hope you enjoyed.